All right, after getting to know the author, let's jump into some of his works. We're going to dive into this story of what happens when one literary giant encounters a work so ambitious, so monumental, it could either be the greatest poem ever written or, a spectacular failure. This is the story of Andrew Marvell reading his friend John Milton's brand new epic, Paradise Lost.
So Marvell kicks off his poem with this really striking image. On one side, you've got the author, this poet, blind yet bold, and yeah, that's John Milton, who was completely blind when he wrote this masterpiece. And then on the other side, you have Marvell, the reader, holding this seemingly small, slender book that somehow contains a vast design. Let's talk about just how vast we're talking.
Milton's project was nothing short of insane. He wasn't just telling a little story, he was trying to map out the entire cosmos. We're talking heaven, hell, earth, chaos, the fall of Satan, the creation of Adam and Eve, the whole shebang. The sheer guts it took to even attempt that, especially for a man who couldn't see, was just staggering. And as Marvell started to read, his first reaction wasn't just, wow, this is great. It was actually mixed with a whole lot of fear.
Marvell straight up admits the poem held me a while misdoubting his intent. He could see the power in the writing, for sure, but that's actually what scared him. He was genuinely afraid of what his brilliant, bold friend was trying to pull off. And this wasn't just professional jealousy, you guys. It was a deep, intellectual, and even spiritual kind of anxiety.
So, what exactly had Marvell so worried? These weren't small concerns. He was afraid that Milton was flying way too close to the sun, That he was handling material so sacred that one wrong move could bring the whole thing crashing down.
Now, what's so fascinating here is how specific his worries were. First, and this was the big one, he was terrified Milton would ruin the sacred truths to fable, basically turn the foundational stories of the Bible into just another fantasy epic. He also worried that Milton would just overcomplicate everything, making simple truths confusing. And then, he was afraid that even if Milton did succeed, he'd just inspire a bunch of copycats with less skillful hands to write terrible imitations. In short, he saw a minefield of ways this could all go wrong.
But then, as he keeps reading, something starts to shift. Marvell goes from being a critic standing on the outside looking in to a reader who's completely immersed. And this is the pivot point of the entire story.
As Marvell himself puts it, he started growing less severe. The sheer power of Milton's poetry was winning him over. See that? He's gone from doubting the whole intent to actually liking the project. But notice he's still not totally convinced. Now he fears for its success. It's like watching a tightrope walker on a wire so high you can't bear to look, but you absolutely can't look away. And as he kept turning those pages, that fear of failure just got completely wiped out. The doubt, the anxiety, that critical part of his brain, it all just melted away. It was replaced by pure, unadulterated awe at what his friend had actually done. The intellectual critic had been totally conquered by the art.
So now that he's fully converted, Marvell doesn't just praise the book. No, he defends it. He champions it as a work of near-divine perfection, a masterpiece that didn't just succeed, but did it flawlessly.
This slide just sums up that transformation perfectly. His greatest fear, right? That Milton would reduce sacred stories to mere fables. But the reality, he realized, was the exact opposite. Milton treated things divine with such majesty and state that he actually preserved their holiness. He didn't shrink them, he made them grander.
This might be the highest praise one poet could ever give to another. Marvell is basically saying the execution is perfect. Every single idea that belonged in this epic was there, and every single idea that didn't was left out. He's describing a work of perfect, flawless artistic judgment.
So after all that initial doubts, all that anxiety, what was Marvell's final count of mistakes, missteps, or missed opportunities in this gigantic cosmic epic? 0. A big, fat 0. Absolutely none. He went from fearing a total catastrophe to declaring total perfection. So what does Marvell's journey as a reader really tell us? Because it's more than just a 17th century book review, right? It's a timeless story about how truly groundbreaking art actually works on us.
This is the real takeaway here. Marvell went in a skeptic, and he had good, smart reasons to be. But he walked out a true believer, not just in the poem, but in the power of human creativity to tackle the biggest subjects imaginable with grace and genius. Great art doesn't just entertain us, it can literally change our minds.
And that brings us to you. Marvell had his Paradise Lost,
a book that took him on a journey from profound doubt to absolute awe. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. What book, what film, what song or painting has ever done that for you? What's the masterpiece that turned you into a believer?